Laws don't have anything to do with morals. What law is a clear example of this? Several years ago I hit a deer on the highway. It was still alive, but it was definitely not going to recover. I shot it to end the suffering. A sheriff deputy saw me do this and informed me that I had technically just poached a deer out of season. Fortunately, he said he was going to pretend like he didn't know what happened and I didn't get in trouble. But the fact that it was illegal to dispatch a suffering animal that had no hope of recovery seems very immoral to me. Public roads are dominated by private cars, and the onus of public safety is solely on the individual. Road laws tailor to car logistics over everything else. We let psycho drivers go all the time to do what they do. We berate cyclists, pedestrians for breaking laws, but then make it hostile impossible to those who obey the law. Bestiality is completely legal in animal agriculture contexts. This isn't an exaggeration. Look your local laws and, if you have the stomach, watch this video from the industry itself. See how they are pinned down and try to get away. This is horrible, but completely legal. Newspaper court column told of a tag agent who had embezzled over $100,000 from the state. She was ordered to pay most of it back. No jail time or probation. Next case was a guy who had shoplifted a $40 pair of boots from a department store, sentenced to 5 years. In some places, if you sleep in your car while drunk, you can get charged with a DUI. They claim it as intent to drive even in situations where it's clear the person wasn't. The good news is it doesn't always hold up in court, but damn, that is ridiculous to have to go through. Why the cops? Because the cops suspect them of being about to use the money for crime. So the money is charged with being a potential criminal, as money doesn't have rights, so it isn't presumed innocent. There are parents out there doing serious jail time for having seriously injured or even murdered child sexual predators who went after their children. These parents are a rare example of a honorable criminal who most people would morally sympathize with. In Quebec, Canada, up to fairly recently, if not still, it is legal to hit a child with an open hand, with a force reasonable and proportional to the child's age, and not to the head. Hitting with objects is forbidden. Laws are threats made by the dominant socio-economic ethnic group in a given nation. It's just the promise of violence that's enacted, and the police are basically an occupying army. Animal abuse is bad, so we've made it illegal. Same people abusing animals or killing them even though we don't need to is okay because it's our choice and they're just food. It is legal in some countries for private entities to influence lawmakers to make certain decisions that could be only in the interest of those entities and not of the general public. Blue laws that enforce closures of certain businesses on Sundays are remnants of a time when law was more about enforcing religious norms than about moral or ethical necessity. Asset forfeiture laws that allow seizure of property suspected involved in a crime before any conviction is made raise moral questions about property rights and justice. Laws that limit or ban the teaching of certain historical views or scientific theories can be more about controlling thought than promoting any moral or societal good. Drug paraphernalia laws that target users instead of addressing the root causes of addiction or often do not align with a harm reduction or moral approach. In some places, laws restrict marriage to opposite-sex couples, which many argue is a moral oversight that discriminates against LGBTQ individuals. Ticket scalping laws, while meant to protect consumers, often end up benefiting large corporations over individuals, raising ethical concerns. Did anyone say counterfeit stock shares and laws protecting blatant financial terrorism scamming the working class or something similar yet? Intellectual property laws that keep drug prices high, limiting access to essential medicines, raise moral questions about profit over life. What's more immoral, defrauding a wealthy person for $500,000 or raping and beating your 4-year-old daughter? Guess who got more jail time? Home distillation in a lot of areas, it's typically illegal. Unless you give the government their cut excise tax, and it's suddenly okay. The criminalization of homelessness in some areas, where sleeping in public can lead to arrest, prioritizes appearance over empathy. Speed limits in areas they seem arbitrarily low often feel more revenue-driven and about safety, a questionable moral basis. Age of consent laws vary significantly by country, reflecting differing moral standards rather than a universal ethical principle. Jaywalking laws often seem more about traffic flow than any moral wrongdoing, especially when crossing safely with no cars around. Laws banning the collection of rainwater in some U.S. states challenge the moral idea of using natural resources sustainably. Laws that disproportionately criminalize poverty, such as those penalizing loitering, often have little to do with morality. In some countries, blasphemy laws are used to suppress free speech rather than protect any clear moral or ethical standard. Laws against assisted suicide, where individuals wish to end their suffering, challenge complex moral and ethical boundaries. Slavery was legal in the US. In Germany, the Holocaust was legal. Laws have literally nothing to do with morals. The historical laws enforcing segregation in the US were clearly not based on any moral justice, but on discrimination. Laws that force male child rape victims to pay child support to their rapists would be a pretty solid example. Laws that prohibit euthanasia often force people to suffer against their will, which can be seen as a moral failure. The death penalty is seen by many as morally wrong, yet it's legally sanctioned as the ultimate punishment. Laws against marijuana in many places seem disconnected from morality, given its similar effects to against the law to give a person standing in line to vote on a hot day water in Atlanta, Georgia. In some US states, if someone breaks into your house and gets injured, they can sue you. Pedophile getting joint custody with the girl he raped when she was in high school. Isn't there some places where it's illegal to give food to the homeless? Feeding or offering water to the homeless is illegal in many places now. The fact that they're not allowed to drive straight through a roundabout. Red light cameras increase the rate of accident at intersections.